So here we have the good ride review of the Arbor Cask 2019.
That was good. I was like millimeters away from you.
I rode this with, you know, Union Atlas and Union Falcors and Union Stratas, and then my trusty Adidas tactical ADVs. I just love those boots. They work very well for me. And this is a new board for me. It's very tapered, very directional, very surfy, kind of short. It covers all the three things that we say in the short, fat, and surfy category. It's got a lot of taper, you know, and it's got their system camber. So it's a camber board with a big ass nose that extends out. It almost feels like more of a hybrid camber board than it is. They've got these lifted points here and here and here, but this board just really feels like a back foot weighted board on groomers, and then it seems like it's going to give you some pretty good relief in powder, despite it being like what Arbor calls full camber, what we'd call like hybrid camber or mostly camber because of this lifted tech. But all in all, it's a pretty fun, surfy, slashy, carvy board for the conditions that I had it. Didn't get any powder. Hoping to maybe, but I probably have to send him back before I get a true powder day. Now, the flex is pretty stiff. It's almost there with the Arbor A-frame, and not quite there with the Clovis. And then I did compare it against the Rome Powder Division 153, which would seem like it's almost not a fair comparison because this is more expensive, but that Pow Div hung in there very well. This feels heavier, damp, better at speed, but the Rome felt a little more forgiving in uneven terrain, and was a little more fun to turn. It just had a slightly different feel. They're both pretty tapered. This feels way more off the tail. It feels more like this, where the Pow Division felt more like this, like there was a little more off the tail going on. But surprisingly, a very good groomer board. Not that easy to butter, pretty good pop. And you know, so the system camber for the on snow feel is pretty cool because you can see it kind of like, it goes like this. And it's got a super wide nose, and it does that on the tail too. And what that does is it creates a catch-free ride, even though it's like pretty much full camber from tip to tail. And check the On the Table review down below. But it gives it a much more forgiving ride than you would think for camber. You would think this would be super locked in, but it's not. Then you got this little side cut technology that helps maintain more grip, instead of where it would be lifted would be mainly where it's the catchiest, but where it grips the most, and that's lifted, so this compensates for that, and I think it does a really good job. So on snow feel, it feels stable. It feels like it's going to be this catchy, hard board to skid turns with, and it's not. It's pretty easy for being this kind of camber. And the edge hold, bye Joe. The edge hold, like I said, is great. The turn initiation is pretty quick. I would say it's like on the low end of fast, on the high end of medium fast. I could just get wherever I needed, and it could just slash at a moment's notice if you wanted to. The turning experience was pretty good. When I kind of set the edge and tried to make more normal turns, it definitely feels back foot heavy. And it's funny, these tapered directional boards like these, especially super tapered boards like these, require a lot of work on your back foot on groomers. But in powder, they alleviate rear leg burn. So it's like, you know, nothing's ever perfect, right? But it's a fun back foot, very surfy, very carvy, slashy, not just a powder board kind of feel. And then when you get into the carves, it follows through pretty well. It's a little washy on the tails, but as long as you keep that weight on the back foot, you're fine. I didn't really feel this system camber really caused problems there. It seems like the grip technology held the edge well enough to make this carving and turning enjoyable. Speed, it's a little off the tail, so, and a little short, so it does really well for its size. Because it's a little heavier, it's got a lot of dampening in there, and it really kind of, you know, handles that well. But it's a little bucky, but less bucky than most short surfy fatties like this. And then uneven terrain, it's pretty good, although I gotta say, like, I liked the POW division a little better there. That just seems to handle that uneven snow well. This can power over it and like kind of semi-buck over it, but handle it. And I think they're good, and they're both good in their own way. I kind of personally preferred the POW division a little better, the cheaper POW division. It surprised me, but dealing with uneven, bumpy snow. But this did very well. You know, switch, blah, you know, if you can. It's not going to kill you, but it's definitely different. And powder, I really wish I could get this in powder, and I hope to, but this is early season. I had a little bit of powder, and I'm so sorry, Arbor. I went to just slash a sidewall that looked like it had great coverage. The hit before did. I wasn't venturing off into the forest because it was early seasons, but for some reason I just caught something and gashed it. I got it repaired for you. First time ever in 10 years of doing this, or more than 10 years. But anyways, sorry, Arbor, but I tried to get a little idea of what the float was like in about a foot and a half of powder, and I couldn't really tell. It seems like it's gonna float well for a camber board. I'm not sure if the system camber will really help with the flotation, but it seems like it's got a wide nose and a tapered tail, and you know, it seems like it's going to be very proficient in powder. Would it hang with maybe like a Jones Mind Expander? No, I don't think so. I think that would just outfloat this all day. But when the groomers come, I'd probably rather be on this than the Jones Mind Expander, but you know, it's to each his own. So, you know, for park, jibs, jump, and pipe, I could slash some pipe walls with this, and it's okay on a kicker, but it's a little light on the tail. Not terribly though. And overall, I just really thought this was a fun board. It didn't, like, when I compared it with a lot of different short fatties I have of all kinds, but after a week of riding it, and I think I liked the Clovis a little better. And the A-frame was shine for me because it just did two things amazing. And but that's kind of a very unique, very specific board to a small group of riders. This definitely applies to a wider group of riders who are looking for short, fat, and surfy. And if you like Arbor and you like, you know, the wood top sheet and that kind of thing, and you know, the nice, very easily repairable base, I think you'll really like the system Cask and the Arbor Cask with system camber. And I think all in all, it's a pretty good ride. Nothing that blew my mind, but it didn't have any glaring issues, and I think it could make a lot of people happy.